Welcome to the Life Coach Lounge. I'm Angela.
I'm Lisa.
And I'm Emily.
This isn't a podcast for coaches. It's for you, for real people navigating real life. It's lighthearted, it's deep, and it's grounded in faith, friendship, and purpose.
And once a month, you can join us in our virtual Life Coach Lounge on Zoom.
So pull up a seat. The Life Coach Lounge is open.
Welcome back to the Life Coach Lounge. We are so excited that you decided to listen in and join us today. Today, we are talking all things summer. Think sunscreen, popsicles, the sound of the screen door slamming for the 100th time. If those words take you somewhere, you're in the right place. Today, we're talking all things summer, the chaos and the magic of summers when the kids were younger, what this season looks like now, and everything in between, including how to actually survive the heat, the bugs, and the sunburns that sneak up on us. Whether you're in the thick of summer break with little ones underfoot, or you're in a quieter season of life, there's something in this episode for you. Before we get into it, I just want to remind our listeners to check out the show notes. That is where you will find links where you can connect with any one of us, myself, Lisa, or Angela, to schedule a conversation about coaching. If you have a friend or someone in your life that you know is looking for someone to talk to, you can send them that link as well. It's also where you will find the link to join us on social media, including our private Facebook group. And if you love our podcast, would you please consider finding out how to rate and review the podcast? We know it can be a challenge. So if you would take a few extra minutes and maybe even Google it, how do I rate a podcast on Spotify? How do I rate or review a podcast on Apple? We would really appreciate it. And if you didn't know, we are also on YouTube. And if you'd like to go check out our video on YouTube, you will see that today, all three of us showed up wearing the same color without even planning it. We all are wearing navy blue today. So check out our YouTube channel where you can watch us along with listening to what we have to talk about. All right, ladies, let's get into it. Let's talk about summer. Let's take a trip down memory lane. Angela, what's a favorite memory or summer tradition that pops into your head when you think about summer break when you had younger kids? So I guess just to set this up, all of us have kids who no longer are young. Some of us have maybe an adult child still living at home, either full-time or part-time because they're going to school, but all of us have graduated out of that season of having younger kids on summer break from school. So think back to that time. What's a favorite memory?
So we always took our kids on a 1-week vacation every summer, and we would rent a cottage somewhere. Usually in northern Michigan. I would pick a different one every year, and it was always on a lake, and the boys would fish. Boys and some of the girls would fish, and it was just such a great time. And every time we rented a cottage, I would scheme and pray and just beg Jim for a cottage. I would cry when we left. Well, then eventually in 2014, we finally were able to buy our own cottage. So the cottage memories continued. And yeah, summer's all about cottage life for me.
That's awesome.
We did the same thing a few times. We would rent summer cottages. I live in upstate New York. So I live in what's called the Finger Lake region and not too far away from the Adirondacks, which is a very mountainous and also has a lot of lakes up there. So there are lots of opportunities within not too far of a drive to rent cottages. And that was just like Angela said, always just so much fun. Always a lot of work because you'd have to move your entire house basically with small children, depending on their ages, and especially if they were infants or really young. Those are the days that I really loved my minivan because
Yes.
you could put a lot of stuff in a minivan. But honestly, some of the favorite like summertime traditions for me when I was thinking about the topic for today, it was like the simplest of things, like sidewalk chalk or, making a huge my husband is a great like caricature artist, and so he would just like make these goofy things in the driveway, or even something simple like making homemade popsicles, or things like that, the little kiddie pools like those are the things that kind of come to mind when I think about summertime when my kids were little.
Same for me. So, living in Minnesota, I don't know if either of you realize this, but on our license plate here, it actually, the slogan is Land of 10,000 Lakes. So, we have way more than 10,000 lakes here. So, we absolutely also had our share of lake days where you would just go to a beach and hang out for the afternoon, along with little vacations that we would take to a cabin. When I was thinking about life with my girls when they were younger, two things came to mind: bike rides and picnics. The girls and I would go for bike rides all the time, and it was so much fun. And we'd pack a little picnic lunch and end up at a park and have a little picnic lunch together. We did so much biking when the girls were younger. They were both fairly slender, skinny, tall legs, and our friends every year for a handful of years would have a little event out at their farm hosted through our church, kind of a ministry event. It would be like a day on the farm. They'd have food and a silent auction where they would raise money for a local family or mission. They would be all kinds of farm activities. And one of them was they brought in a professional tractor pull, but it was pedal pull. So it was the pedal tractors. So the little kids would get on these pedal tractors and see who could go the farthest. And they'd put weight on the back. And both of my girls ended up placing or winning that year. And so many people came up to us and they're like, "What are you feeding them?" Because looking at them, you wouldn't know that their legs were that strong. So I guess that further backed up how much we rode bike because their little legs were super strong. We homeschooled, you guys know that. I've mentioned that here. And so for us, it was really more together time just without doing school. And I know that both of you, for the most part, had your kids in school. So summer break maybe felt a little bit different or a kind of a transition period when you guys had kids at home. So, what did summer actually feel like in that season? Like, did you see it as magical, chaotic, exhausting, maybe all of the above? And looking back, how do you think coaching tools could have been helpful at that season of life?
Coaching tools are always helpful.
I know.
Now that I have them, there's
So
never a time
true.
when I'm like, gee, that wasn't helpful. But if I'm being honest, when my kids were little, school age little, no, mostly school age little, and they wanted to do, in our area, we have lots of summer camps. And so, their friends would be doing, I don't know, pick something, a basketball camp, swimming lessons, golf camp, a rec program, or something like that. But I worked out of the home. And so trying to figure out the shuffling of getting my kids to both the camps as well as the provider who was providing care for them for the day. And so, yeah, if I'm being honest, the 10 weeks of summer were kind of challenging and a little exhausting. Trying that, like the schedule was sometimes piecemealed together, like, okay, well, let me see. Let me look at my calendar this morning. Okay, my friend so and so is picking up, but my friend this person is dropping off, and I'll be home by this time. And then I can't. It was a lot. It was a lot. I wouldn't change it, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say that it wasn't a lot of work to juggle and navigate allowing them to. And even if it was just childcare, I still had to get them to and from childcare. Somebody had to pick up and drop off. And so, yeah, summer sometimes felt like, like, how many weeks is this for? When are they going back to school?
I was always surprised how fast summer filled up. Like when it's on the horizon, you're like, oh, it's going to be just open calendar, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just lazy days in the sunshine. My mom lived right by us and she had a pool. So we spent a lot of time at the pool. And this was always my vision of summer. But our kids went to church camp every summer. That was, the prep and the getting them there. And then, it seemed like snap your fingers and it was the day to go back and get them. And then our vacation, and then all my kids, I was a stickler. All my kids took swimming lessons from the time they were little. And then when they graduated from swimming lessons, we lived right by a university that had a pool and had a summer swim program. So I put them in, it was called the swim team. They learned all their strokes and they did competitive swim. So, I mean, by the time my youngest transitioned out of the swim program, I counted up. I had spent 18 summers sitting in that hot, humid, sticky,
Smelly.
oh, the community pool, basically.
Mhm.
I had spent 18 summers. I mean, it felt like all summer, but it was like an 8-week program, 3 days a week, 3 nights a week. So it was by the time you put all that on the calendar, it's like, oh my gosh, summer's full. But yeah, when I look back and remember it, I do remember, lazy days by the pool. I do remember, picking the kids up from camp and stopping for ice cream and, just all those little moments that make summer summer. And just leaving the house in the summer I mean, we live in Michigan. It's like night and day difference from leaving the house in the winter. You just slip into your flip-flops and go. It's way, way easier to leave the house in the summer, especially with 5 kids. So that makes all the difference too.
Yeah, you're so right about signing them up for any activity, whether it's swim lessons or swim team or camp, VBS even. I think it's really good to be mindful about how full do you want your actual summer to be? Like looking at those weeks you have with a bird's eye view and plugging in. If every child got to choose just one activity, even how much busier that gets, taking them there, picking them up, all of that. So yeah, I feel like we had more lazy days. We had a really good balance of lazy days where we didn't have a whole lot going on. But even then, I needed to remind myself to not schedule the day. It was good to have rhythms. It's good to have expectations, but to not schedule it and then balance that with the weeks that we did have the activities that you had to be at a certain time. So, if there is a mom listening that has kids, any age, toddlers to teens, in the thick of that, trying to figure out what summer break looks like, what advice would you give to a young mom in one of those seasons?
I would just go back to what I said. It's the little things. The little things you don't do during the school year, stopping for ice cream or, cooking outside, eating by the picnic table in the summer. Just those, yes, you have to make dinner, but let's cook outside and eat outside tonight. Those are the special moments. So find the little moments that, make for those, they add up and they make for all those great summer memories.
I would add on to that not to measure your current place, whether it's that day, that week, that month of summer, by what you haven't yet done. So not just measuring it against those around you, which we've talked about before on the podcast too, which we all fall victim to, the compare and despair phases of life, but don't skim over the process and the progress that you have already made. You know what I mean? So I remember she was probably in her teenage years, but I remember my daughter saying to me once in a whatever their lingo was at the time, but her response to me in a question that I asked was, "Mom, it's not that deep." And I remember thinking, "Oh my gosh, I could apply this to so many things." Like Angela said, like enjoy the little things, which also means kind of hit that pause button so that you can enjoy those little things, but don't make it so deep. Don't measure where you are by what you haven't achieved.
Great advice. And these three life coaches here in the lounge would remind you you get to decide what summer looks like for you and your family. It doesn't have to look like the neighbors or the kids down the street or your kids' best friends. You get to decide what is best for your family, what you can afford, what you have the capacity for. You get to decide and then be happy with that. Any quick tips or tricks or hacks that made life easier for you when your kids were younger? I will share one that I saw on the internet. I have not tried it, but it makes perfect sense. They said if you're going to the beach, to take baby powder along because baby powder helps to get the sand off of your feet before you put your shoes back on. So you're not dragging a whole bunch of sand home with you. I have not tried that, but I thought it was worth sharing in case anybody wanted to try it out.
So for those kiddie pools that I was mentioning, much like Angela having lots of cottage moments with her kids and then ultimately owning their own cottage, we did something similar. So we had kiddie pools and the blow up ones and the hard plastic ones. And then, like Emily mentioned, lots of days at the beach at one of the many lakes. But now we have a pool. And when they were little, though, just cleaning those suckers, depending on how big they were, and if your husband had freshly mowed the lawn, and then all the ground, you know what I'm saying? And they would the kids would also inevitably walk through mud or the gardens or something, right? So one of the things that I did was got one of those like little wash buckets that you have in like your kitchen sink. And they had to step in that bucket, which was so much easier to throw that wash water out and replace it than dumping the whole pool and scooping out all the grass. That saved a lot of grossness in those little tiny pools, which it gets hazy hot and humid here in the summer, those three H's. So there were times when mama was also just kind of sitting in the pool with the littles because it was hot.
Great tip for keeping your pools clean. Angela, did you have any tips or hacks or tricks that worked for you?
So I think my life hack, when I think back on it, I talked about the swimming. It was swimming because they were tired. Swimming tires it tires them out. And yeah, I think getting 5 kids tired out every day and swimming, my goal was that they all be good swimmers because I'm not. And so it's such a good life skill to have. I was bound and determined that all my kids were going to be good swimmers and not be afraid of the water. And so it had the double bonus of they were tired at the end of the day. As they got older, there was always the pull of the phones and the video games and all of that. But I mean, we're going to grandma's to go swimming usually. Got them out of the house and tired them out. So, yeah, teach them how to swim, have them learn how to swim, and then bring them somewhere to swim or put in a pool like Lisa did.
And speaking of video games and screen time, what we did, you can buy like a roll of tickets, like just little, you know, regular ticket.
Carnival tickets or whatever.
Yes, or like at the office supply store or something. So I bought a roll of tickets, and my girls had to read a certain number of minutes in order to earn a ticket. And then those tickets were worth a certain amount of screen time. So that worked well for us. It was just at the beginning of the summer. This is the currency. If you want to watch a movie or be on your iPad or whatever it is, reading is how you get to earn those minutes.
It's funny you say that because you just brought back a memory. I took my kids to the library all the time in the summer. They would have a summer reading program through the library.
Yes, same
And
here.
my kids loved going to the library and getting books and movies. They had movies at the library that you could check out. And so, yeah, we went to the library all the time. You just reminded me of that.
Yeah, same.
Yes, that's a free, wonderful way to get your kids reading again. And they give some pretty good prizes at the reading
Yeah,
program
they
at
do.
our local
Yeah.
library.
Our library would have some pretty fun activities every week too, like a magician show, or there was one person, it was called Bubble Mania, and it was just a traveling gentleman who would like put himself inside giant, like it was kind of like a kiddie pool, and he would stand inside it, but he would bring the bubble like up and over his head, and then he just had so many different ways of making bubbles, some of which the kids got to do using like cut up straws and string and things like that. So, yeah, you're right. Memories are coming back for all of us now.
So fun. So fun. Well, we could talk about memories all day, but let's bring ourselves into this current season of life. So, summer now. Does summer break look different for you now in this season of life without having kids at home and having that break from the school year? Or is the hazy, hot, and humid weather, like Lisa said, the only change really in your routine? What does it look like in this season? Is it much different?
Very different for me.
How so?
So we don't usually take a vacation in the summer. We try to get out of Michigan winter. So we take a warm weather vacation in the winter, Jim and I do. My summers were filled with busyness, with activities. And I mean, if I had to say one word, summer now is lonely. It's just, the house is quiet. It's quiet during the school year, and it's quiet during the summer. So, yeah, it's very, very different.
Yeah, that makes sense.
My summer is quieter for sure and slower paced. Probably from, like I described earlier, when they were young and you always had to look at your calendar to see which direction you were going that day. And also, you kind of miss it. You know what I mean? Like in retrospect, you're like, oh, well, it seemed busy and long at the time. And like Angela just said, and now it can be a little lonely. At the same time, though, because I have one child still at home when she's on college break, and this summer she is home and living at home, that's super nice. Like, I love just being able to say, "Are you going to be around for dinner tonight?" And, or having her say to me, "Are you working tomorrow out of the home, or can we sit by the pool?" Like, so summers for us now are just a little slower paced, which I have no problem with. I will soak up the warm days by the pool as long as possible.
Yes, sign me up for that. I would say my summers are more restful and feel like more of a reset. So, working out of the home, we're on the screen a lot. So, that doesn't really change that flow of my days. But other commitments, I do two different Bible studies. One is online and one is at church. And those take a break for the summer. And so not having that extra commitment of even driving somewhere or being on a Tuesday evening online feels just those two commitments feels more restful, more space in my week to maybe pursue my own Bible reading without the going somewhere and discussing it with somebody. And our church does offer a summer Bible study, but I just decided on purpose this year to again, just do my own thing at home and not have the driving back and forth. So for me, it feels like a reset. time of rest. Okay, so Angela and I both live in what we would call the upper Midwest of the United States. Lisa is in the Northeast. Usually, our weather here in the Midwest is what Lisa can expect a day or two later. But for the most part, all of us live in areas where the summers are, like Lisa said, hazy, hot, and humid. So, the three things I thought about for summer was staying cool in the heat and humidity, soaking up the sunshine because our winters can be pretty harsh. So, when the sun is out, we are here for it, and then also keeping the flying insects away, which I think all of us have generous biting insects where we live. So let's talk about some practical tips, tricks, and life hacks. Staying cool in the heat and humidity. The first thing I think of, ladies, is hydration. Hydration is key. So I have recently discovered my favorite afternoon refreshing drink for the summer. I have been avoiding caffeine. My favorite summer beverage would be iced tea. Even that has a little bit of caffeine in it. So I've discovered herbal tea. The one that I am making now is rose and hibiscus. It's just an herbal tea, no caffeine. I will brew that in a small cup so it's a little more concentrated, add a spoonful of honey and a little bit of lemon, maybe a little bit of sea salt because the salt is good to replace the minerals. Pour that over some ice. Best thing ever. I love it. It's been my go-to in the afternoons. What about the two of you? What is your go-to summer beverage right now, or your favorite electrolyte, either store-bought or homemade?
Well, when you were mentioning the tea, I thought you were going to say sun tea. Do you guys ever make sun tea? Like, I love making sun tea in the summer when just taking the tea bags and putting them in a giant pitcher and literally sticking it out in the sun and then pouring that over some ice cubes. I love to grow herbs. So I have an herb garden and I currently have an entire pot that just keeps reseeding itself of mint also. So I have different kinds of mint, spearmint, mint, mojito mint, like different kinds of mint in there. So I think it's a pampered chef pitcher, but one of the things I love to do is I have a pitcher that allows you to cut up whatever fresh produce you want, whether it's citrus or maybe it's cucumber or whatever you want, or the mint. And you can put it in the bottom of the pitcher. And then there's almost like a French press. There's a press that goes down and kind of muddles it a little bit, but gives the water some flavor. I admit that I am not awesome at just drinking just water. I do like to have my water flavored with something. I will drink it much better and stay hydrated better if it has a little bit of flavor to it. So I love doing that in the summer with fresh produce and fresh herbs. And then I just leave it sitting on the counter. And when you see it, you're like, "Oh yeah, I want some of that." So that's my that's my go-to for the summer.
Love it. So I have not actually made sun tea, but I'm familiar with the concept. Is there any benefit to having it brew in the sun? Because as you were saying that, I'm like, oh, that sounds fun. And then I'm also like, but I kind of want my drink now. So if I could just boil the water on the stove and brew it, I can have it way quicker than
Yeah, I don't
having it sit out in the sun and wait all day for it. So I'm wondering,
yeah,
are there any benefits?
no.
Does it taste different? Maybe I'll make one on the stovetop and have one brew outside, and I will compare the two and see is the flavor concentrated or something? Because if it's not, I'm going with my quick option.
Yeah,
But I love the
I hear
concept of
you.
sun tea. Angela, did you have a favorite drink or electrolyte that you'd like to share?
So I drink Element, LMNT electrolytes year round. Put one packet of that in my water, in my Owala water bottle, my favorite Owala, and a packet of Ningxia Red from Young Living. And then I have other supplements that I add in there and lots of ice. I am a 1 cup of coffee per day person. I drink my hot coffee in the morning, but in the summer, I love to stop and get a cold brew in the afternoon, early afternoon, has to be early afternoon. Just a small cold brew with a splash of cream, that iced coffee. It's my little summer treat. So I love just sometimes when I'm out and about stopping for an iced coffee. It's so good.
That sounds delicious. Have you ever, either one of you, taken coffee, maybe you brewed too much and you don't want to pour it down the drain, or you could just brew it for this purpose, freeze it in an ice cube tray, so then when you add it
100%.
to your iced coffee, it doesn't dilute it? I thought
Yes.
that was a great trick. I could do that with my
Yes.
tea as well.
Oh, there
Just
you
brew a
go.
big
Yeah.
batch and then put the ice cubes in for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about soaking up the sun while avoiding a sunburn. What are your favorite ways to enjoy the long days of sunshine? Lisa, you already said the pool, your backyard pool, which is so amazing. You can just walk right out your back door
Yes.
and float to your heart's content. What are some other ways you like to enjoy the sunshine?
In the summer, we have like a covered porch and lots of umbrellas, lots of opportunities to create your own shade so that you're not sitting out there burning yourself. Because yes, I do love to float in my pool, but then when I get out, probably be best if I don't continue frying in the sunshine. I find it to be like I know we've talked about this in the Marcos. I can't remember if we've talked about it on this podcast or not, but there's a lot of science out there for maintaining your circadian rhythm by getting sun on your or daylight. I'll say daylight because I don't always have actual sunshine in upstate New York, but just getting your eyeballs in that direct daylight or sunlight, not from a window and not like getting out there. It's hard for me to do that in the coldness. And we have winter and cold weather in upstate New York for far longer than we have hazy, hot, and humid. But I do enjoy that part of the summer to just, like you said, like get out there in the sunshine. It makes you sleep better. I mean, I'm sure the hazy, hot, and humid makes us all tired too, but it does. The science behind it's spot on. I definitely notice a difference with that.
Yeah, it turns out the sun that God created for us is actually good for us
Yeah.
when we're responsible, right? So I recently learned from our naturopathic doctor that eating dark berries like blueberries, blackberries, strawberries, raspberries in the summertime can also help protect your skin from getting burned. So as you're outside more, dark berries are really good to consume. And then as I've been on this mission to really reduce toxins in our lives, so like the basic sunscreens, go Google it. A lot of them are actually not good for your skin or your whole body. So limiting your exposure, yes, 100%, but don't stay out of the sun because it's so good for you, right? We found that if you find a sunscreen that says it's safe for the coral reef, that will be better for you because the reason they can get that approved is because it won't hurt the wildlife or won't hurt the coral reef there. So look for that if you are applying sunscreen. And we have found success with sun protection that has the ingredient red raspberry seed oil. For whatever reason, it absorbs the harmful rays, so it protects your skin in just a very natural way. Do your own research. We are not doctors here in the lounge, but we are always trying to find healthier options while also spending as much time as we can in the sun.
As a certified aromatherapist, this is always something I kind of get on a soapbox about in the summer since my certification and learning more is I love that you said like do your research, pay attention to the ingredients, and also I want to get on that soapbox and briefly say don't just go out though and make your own sunscreen because that's not a thing. There's a reason why certain sunscreens work the way they do. So just do your research, like Emily said. And I love that advice about the coral reef. That, I mean, how simple is that? You don't need to have an app on your phone to scan things and be like, is this a clean product? Is this a not clean product? You can just look for coral reef safe. Okay, perfect. Like I love that tip. That's an easy button. But please don't try to make your own sunscreen. There's so many people this time of year that will convince others that, yeah, you can just make it at home. In my humble opinion, no, you can't. And it could be kind of dangerous, actually. So do your research. Send me a DM if you want some help, but do do your research. I actually have great products that I will make too to share with friends, obviously for my family too when it comes to what do you do after you've been in the garden too long, or maybe you went on that bike ride a little longer and the sun came out and you were not prepared with sunscreen. So there are great things to use for after sun spray to kind of help support your skin in its healing from being burned.
This is coming from somebody who knows what she's talking about because she makes her own facial wash and serums. She's kind of a chemist also. I see Lisa as our resident chemist. I think she has the authority to say what she just said there. I love it. So, Angela, we know that you love to cook. Soaking up the sun also includes cookouts, backyard barbecues. Do you have a favorite side dish that you could just tell us right now? Throw these things together, it's going to be amazing. Or a favorite marinade that you're like, so easy, you just throw this together. Like, those are the best where you can just rattle off the ingredients and somebody else can just take it and go.
Baked beans. That's like the one thing I make homemade whenever we get invited to a potluck. I specifically get asked to bring baked beans. And whenever anyone comes to the cottage, I make a big pot of baked beans for the weekend because they go with everything. Can have them with burgers, with steak, with ribs. It's just a perfect side dish. Now, I will say there is no written recipe. It's in my brain. So if I get hit by a beer truck, my kids are screwed. No more baked beans for you. So, you know what I'm going to do? I want everyone listening to this to join the private Facebook group because I'm going to come up with the recipe out of my brain and write it in there. So, check there.
Fabulous. Oh, I cannot
Your kids
wait for
better
this.
join the Facebook group then, or they're still out of luck.
Exactly.
Well, Lisa and I will know it then. At least we will know it, and
Yes.
everybody in the private Facebook
Yes.
group will know it. I love it. We have a Greek salad that you can also add quinoa to that is so easy to throw together. I could just rattle it off right now as well. So I will throw that recipe in our private Facebook group as well. So go to the show notes, find the link, join us, even if it's just for the recipes. We guarantee you'll still have fun. Even after getting the recipes, you will enjoy being part of our group.
Absolutely.
Love it. All right. Well, we couldn't talk about summer where we all live without talking about those pesky flying insects that bite and bother us. This is another situation where I've tried to go more non-toxic. Ladies, what are your recommendations for keeping the bugs away? And also, what's your go-to remedy after you get bit? Tell us all the things.
No surprise here, but I actually have two homemade recipes for both. So, a natural insect repellent as well as an after stick, either it can be made into a roll on or like a stick balm. And so I will follow Angela's lead and I will also put those two recipes in the private Facebook group so that if you do have essential oils at home and some carrier oils, you'll be all set. The other thing that I do every summer is I create insect repellent pots to put on my patio. So the same thing that I might be putting actually in the insect repellent spray that I'm making, I have on my back patio. So it might be a pot that has citronella in it and some catnip in it and some geranium in it, some rosemary, lavender, and then I'll make those pots and kind of just disperse them wherever the seating area is outside. And you'd be surprised, like they bugs actually don't like the smell of those plants. So you guys could give that a Google too. I'm sure Pinterest is filled with creating a insect repellent little patio pot plant situation.
Great tip.
So if you do get a bug bite, I can recommend, I buy it on Amazon. It's called Green Goo, and it's an herbal salve. And we always have it in the house. And you know how you wake up in the night and you're like, oh, stupid mosquito bite. I keep one on the nightstand and I'll just put a little on there. It literally takes the itch away immediately. Jim just had an allergic reaction to a medication and his arms were covered with a red itchy rash, and he just put that on his arms and it helped so much. So Green Goo salve, I just buy it on Amazon. It really is helpful. The other thing I can say as far as sun and bugs is linen. I have been investing in some linen pieces, linen pants. They're so cool in the summer, and linen shirts. Just throw a long sleeve linen shirt on and it's nice and cool and it keeps you covered. You have my permission slip to go buy yourself some linen clothes.
Any other permission slips we are handing out as we wrap up today's episode?
Break out of the routine. It's good to have routines, don't misunderstand me, but sometimes in the summer, especially with young kids, building in more flexibility and not being on autopilot and so stuck in your routine is going to get you to the finish line a lot smoother than having to, like, nope, we haven't checked all these boxes yet. As my daughter told me, it's not that deep. Just let it go.
Yeah, I would say the permission slip I would give is stay up late, sleep in late, turn off the alarm, let your kids sleep in, let them stay up late, watch fireworks, whatever you have going on in the summer. And don't worry about keeping on the schedule or, oh my goodness, what about fall? They'll be all out of schedule. And we got to fight them again at bedtime and fight them to get them up in the morning. You're going to do that anyway. it's guaranteed. So just go with the flow. Turn off your alarm, sleep in, let the kids sleep in. That's my permission slip.
Great advice, ladies. And it turns out those days, those years with our kids really did fly by now that we can look in the rearview mirror and see and have the perspective. So being present every day with them, like you both said, just enjoy the moments. And again, you get to decide how busy or how unstructured your summer looks. According to your family, you get to decide. Summer can be super magical if you just are intentional about it. Thank you for joining us today in the Life Coach Lounge. We are always so appreciative of those of you that listen in every Tuesday. Again, please go rate and review. If this episode was encouraging to you, share it with a friend. And Lisa and Angela, I cannot wait to get the recipes that you both promised and to catch up with you again later in the Marcos. And for the rest of you, we will be back here again next Tuesday for another episode of the Life Coach Lounge.